Are you tired of chasing an idealized, perfect version of yourself? What if the true essence was not about becoming flawless, but about mastering the art of internal unification? Join us as we explore Rubedo, the powerful concept of fusing your conscious identity with your deepest, most repressed aspects to forge a truly whole and unshakable self. Following the purification of albedo, whiteness, and the fleeting illumination of citrinitas, yellowness, we arrive at the final stage of the great work, Rubedo, the red matter, the fire of unification. This is not a moment of escape or of purism, but of courage. It is the dive into the alchemy of integration, where the soul finally becomes indivisible. This is the point where knowledge merges with experience, resulting in wisdom and completeness. We are bombarded by the culture of fixing yourself, the incessant pressure to eliminate flaws and project success. This obsession with perfection is what Carl Jung called the inflated persona, a social mask that denies humanity in the pursuit of external acceptance. This search creates a profound internal division, pushing uncomfortable truths and vital forces into the shadow. The idea of a perfectly optimized self is an illusion that prevents genuine personal development, the only real barrier to the awakening of consciousness. Jung taught us that the shadow is not inherently evil. It is simply the exile of unexpressed energy. Rubedo demands that we interrupt this silent war, this constant self-division. It is not enough to be pure, albedo. You must be whole, Rubedo. Life requires the spirit to be embodied in matter, for the light to harmonize with the shadow. What if the pain that confuses you today is, in fact, a language of your soul trying to guide you toward your completeness? It is time to stop fighting against yourself and start unifying. For this, we first need to understand the myth we have created about the perfect self and, consequently, the need for this shadow that we so often deny. The nigredo, initial darkness, and the albedo, purification, have prepared the ground, but true wisdom is only achieved when we recognize that the shadow cannot be discarded. It must be integrated. The shadow is the repository of all the instincts, talents, and reactions that society or family taught us to fear. For example, repressed anger doesn't disappear. It transforms into resentment or passivity, corroding the interior and sabotaging personal development. Spiritual awakening lies in the courage to face what has been denied. If we live to please others, we bury our capacity for self-assertion and our healthy boundaries. If we fear vulnerability, we stifle our capacity for intimacy and genuine connection. Carl Jung was emphatic. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The shadow is the guardian of our most primitive strength and our totality. The Sufi poet Rumi captured the essence of this profound truth. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Your deepest personal development will come not from the elimination of your perceived flaws, but from their deliberate and loving integration. This means taking a crucial step beyond moral judgment and entering the field of psychological acceptance. Embrace the contradiction. You are in constant transformation, and this fluidity is your greatest strength. Authenticity is not the absence of the shadow, but the acceptance of it. What part of you is knocking on the door of your consciousness today, demanding to be seen and not just judged? It is exactly this courageous acceptance of the shadow that leads us to the forge of Rubedo, where the inner marriage finally takes place. Rubedo is the alchemical marriage, the unification of opposites, the conscious and the unconscious, the logos, reason, and the eros, feeling, the masculine and the feminine within the psyche. It is the moment when the purified consciousness, albedo, unites with the shadow, that which was repressed, to generate the complete self. The goal is not fusion, but harmonious conjunction, where each part maintains its essence but relates to the other. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the journey to becoming a whole, indivisible being. In practice, this requires the courage to face internal contradiction. It is accepting the paradoxical completeness of being both weak and strong, loving and angry, wise and foolish. There is no integrity without contradiction. When you recognize, for example, your weakness as impatience, you stop trying to eliminate it. You welcome it and see it as a poorly channeled expression of vital energy or passion, which is perhaps a search for more focus. Integrated, this energy turns into inner strength, focus, action, and boundaries. Rubedo teaches the art of being everything you are, without shame of your complexity. The secret is that the unified self acts with greater presence because it does not spend energy fighting against itself. However, accepting contradiction and the coexistence of opposites is not an easy path. It requires a new way of seeing life, one that removes us from judgment and leads us to true wisdom. The wisdom that emerges from Rubedo is the overcoming of moral duality. It is the understanding that life is not a dilemma between good and evil, but a continuous paradox between light and darkness, which coexist. The whole self is not a hostage to binary thinking. It can act with toughness when necessary, and with love when appropriate, without feeling guilty for not always being just one thing. The philosophical poet Khalil Gibran reflects this acceptance of pain as an essential part of the process of expanding consciousness. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. The expansion and awakening of consciousness require the breaking of rigid forms. Without the shadow to be integrated, the light remains sterile, lacking human density. By recognizing your side that fears and your side that advances, you access greater resilience and true creative flow. Completeness emerges from simple, compassionate self-observation. Rubedo requires deep-diving tools, journaling, active imagination, symbolically conversing with a shadow, and silent contemplation. The discomfort of this process should not be avoided. It is the raw material for true psychological richness. Kindness to the present moment allows you to embrace the rejected parts. When you stop fighting to be pure, you begin to integrate. The seed that flowers in the dark knows that the dark is not punishment. It is the essential condition for transformation. When we internalize this wisdom and begin to apply the tools of compassionate self-observation, we reap the supreme fruit, the liberated self, the legacy of a life lived in integrity. The final reward of Rubedo is a profound sense of self-acceptance and inner peace, the meaning of life found in one's own totality. The liberated self no longer seeks perfection, but integrity. The being that went through Nigredo, Albedo, and Citronitas now manifests in the world with the force of red fire, active, passionate, and complete. This integration makes you unshakable, as you are no longer a hostage to one side of the coin, being able to witness your own opposites without losing balance. Decision-making is cleaner, and relationships become truer, free from projections. Presence is the scentless perfume. Whoever stops, feels it. This integration not only makes you personally more powerful, but it also contributes to a more welcoming world, as you no longer project your internal negations onto others. You become a mirror of totality. This is the legacy of spiritual awakening, the silent and profound contribution to humanity, simply by having finally become more of yourself. Rubedo is the proof that the greatest revolution is silent and happens inside your chest. All emotional healing begins where you stop fighting against what you feel. This integrity, however, is not a destination, but a continuous practice. It is the daily maintenance of the unshakable self that guarantees us the grace and resilience to navigate the world. The integrity achieved is not a trophy, but a garden that requires continuous care, the maintenance of the state of clarity. It is the art of navigating the complexities of the world with grace and resilience. Silent wisdom is always available, provided you return to your center, practicing observation without attachment. I invite you to a small practice of inner silence. Sit up straight and gently close your eyes. Breathe in deeply. As you breathe out, feel that you are returning to the center of your chest, your internal temple. Now, in active imagination, summon the image of your conscious self, that which is clear, purified, Albedo, and your unconscious self, that which is dark, shadowy, Nigredo. Observe them. They are opposites, but brothers. On the next inhale, visualize these two forces being drawn to the center of your heart. Let them mix, warm up, and become a single color, a single fire, the ruby fire of integrity. Feel the strength of this totality in presence. Breathe deeply, accepting discomfort as a necessary part of your emotional healing. Take this feeling of unshakable unity into your day. What if the completeness you seek is, in fact, in the courage to embrace, without reservation, what you have insisted on rejecting? If you felt touched by these words, I invite you to take the next step on this journey of self-discovery. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to nourish this newly kindled flame and continue walking with us on the same frequency. Leave your experience in the comments. Your sharing is also a seed of healing for other hearts. If you are looking for a safe harbor, know that our community is the sanctuary where fertile silence is shared and deepened. Enjoy the channel's posts. And to continue expanding this field of presence, we suggest the video pinned in the card. May it be a source of inspiration on your journey. Peace and light.